909 in Studio is brought to you by 90.9 The Bridge in Kansas City. To find out how you can become a sustaining member or to donate, go to bridge909.org. This feels like a homecoming. JD McPherson back in the studios here at the Bridge.
It's the
Thanks
homecoming
for coming
dance.
We've visited so many times in the past. I was saying earlier, I think I recognize your gear.
Yeah, we've got some of the same gear, some of the new gear. We're trying to work some of the gremlins out of the old gear and the new gear.
Every once in a while I'm reminded of how spoiled we are. We've been enjoying this, the new album for a few weeks, and it doesn't come out until October 6th. It is a great, great album. You should be really proud.
Yeah, we don't even have it yet.
Really?
Yeah. No, we have it.
Wow, it's 30 seconds in. I've already been fooled.
Gotcha.
You can find out more about the album at jdmcpherson.com, and the album cover sure has a sort of a Tex Avery kind of early 60s Hot Rod magazine kind of wolf with the eyes bugging out vibe to it.
Blended through some kind of weird Japanese woodblock high detail. There's this guy, his name's Florian Bertmer. He's a German guy, and he does these extremely meticulous little drawings, but he does a lot of stuff for metal bands, skulls and goats and stuff. Anyway, I met him, and I asked him if he was into kind of Tex Avery and like custom culture stuff like the Ed Roth, and he was like super into it. So conned him into doing that, and it was a really good job he did.
You know, I was going to say this for later, but you sort of invoked Germany, and so I'm just going to go there right off the bat. You all have done really well over in Europe, and you've often sort of based yourself out of Belgium.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like you found some places that remind you of home in Belgium. Yeah,
it's weird to say that, but of all of Europe, I think we could all agree that Belgium is the most home-like. It's a home away from home. Well, it's people. It's like the friends from over there. Our driver that lives over there, he lives in Turnhout, Belgium, and he's a hoot. And so that's a familiar face. But there's just something sort of laid back and Midwestern about Belgium. I don't know how to explain it, but the food is really accessible. Steak and beer, you know.
Yeah, so you have, a lot of people have that thing where it's like, well, when I retire, I'm gonna get a sailboat, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And you have often said that you were going to open a Belgium steakhouse that plays Hank Sr.
So I like to get really, really specific in my goals. Well, we can all say that, whenever we go over there, we're with this specific group of people, and we go to these old bars. By the way, if you don't know, Belgium is like the greatest beer culture in the world. It's amazing. Like if you haven't ever tried one, like a Trappist or something, you should definitely do it. But when you go over there and we're hanging with these people, you're in these like really old bars, but they're playing like Win Stewart and all this old hillbilly music. So I had this bug in my brain for a while that one day I wanted to do that.
And a friend of yours really screwed up your retirement by encouraging you to do it now.
Yeah, he jumped forward by years. This friend of mine who was a restaurateur in St. Louis moved back to Oklahoma, where we were from. We were buddies back in college, and we opened a small Belgian food restaurant in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, that plays old hillbilly music. And it's like waffles and fries and stuff like you can get over there, but then other stuff that you would never find in Belgium, like fried Brussels sprouts and stuff like that. But it's been a weird year.
And this restaurant is made like the place that it's in is actually made of old shipping containers.
Yeah, it's a little shipping container mall. So all the stores are sort of in these little metal boxes.
And if people want to go to Tulsa, which is just not really that far,
we should just go. Let's just go right now.
Okay, I'm down with it. It's called Weirwar in the Box Yard.
Yeah, there's a Weirwar in Belgium, and that's sort of it's our sister bar. It's what it's named after. It means hodgepodge. It's like a mix of things.
And I was really gratified. I was checking out the menu, and you all serve Boulevard beer.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's our favorite.
Well, I know that's a big deal here. We work a lot with Omegang Brewery Omegang up in Cooperstown, and they're in cahoots now. So it's a big, happy family.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the new record is spectacular. It's called Undivided Heart and Soul. JD McPherson going to be playing tonight at Knuckleheads, the new CD out Friday, October 6th. We'd love to hear a song if we could.
Let's do that. This is called Crying's Just a Thing You Do.
Black is very slimming, but everybody's staring at you. You're sipping your Darjeeling, you're staring at the ceiling. You dream about it splitting in two. And every time the wind blows, you open up the windows. The china crashes down on the floor. It's really got me hurting, not trembling and a cursing, but I'm rattled more than ever before. You say there's nothing I can do to ever satisfy you, 'cause crying's just the thing that you do. Crying's just the thing that you do. Crying's just the thing that you do. I tried to keep my head down for most of the ride, swimming through Rossetti and Poe. I never felt the spinning of this machine I've been in. I never saw the ice on the road. And every time it thundered, you always sit and wonder, should we climb the roof and watch it roll in? I'm feeling thrown asunder, I think I'm sinking under. It's really getting under my skin. You say there's nothing I can do to ever satisfy you, 'cause crying's just the thing that you do. Crying's just the thing that you do. Crying's just the thing that you do. In telling every stranger that something's in a stirring your blood. Contrary propositions have always left me smitten, but hell is pouring out like a flood. I need an indication of any vindication. This love affair is worth dying for. It's really got me hurting, not trembling and a cursing, but I'm single more than ever before. You say there's nothing I can do to ever satisfy you, 'cause crying's just the thing that you do. 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 Crying's just the thing that you do.
That's a tremendous amount of fun. It's one of the tracks from Undivided Heart and Soul, and you can actually find the studio version online. It's one of the teaser tracks for the new record. Big changes for you since the last record. You moved to Nashville.
Yeah. Like everybody else.
But you found some, it's like just add water, make friends. They kind of came out of the woodwork.
Yeah. There's a few towns in the United States that are real kind of known as music towns. Obviously, Nashville is one. I've always kind of heard some of these music towns. I won't speak their name to dismerge them at all, but I heard that it's kind of a competition or of sorts, like when you get there. But I haven't felt that way at all about that town. It's been very welcoming, and people that you just meet are just as likely to help you out as people that you've known for a long time. And man, you can get egg shakers at 3 a.m. in Nashville if you need them. Like you can get so much done there. And so it's been really fun. So Jimmy and Jason and I currently live there now, trying to con Ray and Doug into making them. I don't think we're going to get them. But at this point, most of the team lives there now, and it's a real hoot.
Yeah. You just sort of rattled off everybody's names. This is a really stable band.
Well, stable is... yeah, no, but this is the band. Yeah, we been going with the band now for 6 years. So the project started, I guess, like maybe a little over 7 years ago, if I'm not wrong. But
August 2009.
Okay, yeah. You'll have to do the math yourself. I'm no good at that. I failed. But this 5 is the one.
After you moved to Nashville, and I actually wanted to compliment you. You did the production on the Cactus Blossoms record.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Thanks. Well, I mostly just made coffee and cooked them a pot of beans once in a while. But now they're really, really great. Minneapolis boys. They're very easily to kind of align them with like brother acts like Everly and Leuven, but they really write wonderful songs, and they really have their own kind of spin on things, and they're just really good. They're really, really good.
So when you were doing that work, some of these songs started arriving.
One did. I wrote a song for them called Undivided Heart and Soul, which you may notice is the title track of this record because I stole it back. We were on that Cactus Blossoms record. It was like everything was last minute and there was no budget. We recorded it in the living room, and there were like bus tickets involved. So we had this one song left over that I had written for them to sing and didn't do it. And just a few months later, I was like, I think I want to try to steal that one back. So we did. We started the record. It didn't really have a lot of songs ready to go. And so, sometimes you can't ignore some things that are kind of rattling around in the closet.
My impression is that this record, like your first stab at it, you weren't happy. Like maybe even to the point where losing sleep, maybe.
Well, I lose sleep over a lot of things. But actually, I would say that just getting it started was difficult in all kinds of ways. Logistically, we had a producer lined up that didn't work out, and we were all like, we actually got together in Nashville, and we had hotels booked the whole 9 yard for a week or two of recording, and then it went away. So we had to kind of figure out what to do next.
You're we talked about some of the friends that you've made, and one of them is Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, and I'm just going to read a quote from him. This cat, JD McPherson, is just the real deal. It's totally for real. And I think to myself, where has this been my whole life? So when a guy like that says something like that.
I'll say this about Joshua is that he is the Queens of the Stone Age were, he said this, they're one of the last bands through the door. Like they were like one of the last bands that were like a big, big, huge rock star band, and he is definitely that. But he only is interested in what he's interested in. He's not interested in anything that is going to be like the flavor of the month or whatever. If he likes something, he will do everything he can to try to help out. And, the first time I met him was in an airport, and he asked our band to open up for them at the Forum in Los Angeles.
Which is not really something that many people would have seen coming, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. But he's just he's a positive guy. He's a big help, and I just really appreciate him.
So the new record the Queens of the Stone Age put out is called Villains.
God, it's awesome. Have you heard that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Great.
And the villains seem to be inspired by like 50s renegades like Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry and Little Richard. And I'm thinking, okay, there's, some of that commonality.
Mm-hmm. Well, he loves rock and roll. And he actually, we had a really weird conversation about Lemmy, because he was really close to Lemmy from Motorhead, and we talked about how Lemmy was like, Eddie Cochran was like his favorite guy, and he like, I think, soaked up a lot of stuff from Lemmy. Like Lemmy turned him on to a lot of cool old rock and roll stuff. Yeah.
So Josh knew you were unhappy with the way things were going and invited you to come out to California and just sort of blow some music out the windows.
Yeah, well, you could just kind of tell that I was in a rut and I was a little down. And so I just went out for a couple days and hung out with Josh and Dean at Pink Duck Studios, which is his place in Burbank. Ate chili at Chili John's and just played with. Well, he's got like one of everything in the world except the most obvious stuff, like no Strats, no Les Pauls, no Marshalls, but anything else you can think of is there. And so it's like a toy box for grown-up children.
So did that help? Did it sort of break things open?
It was like a musical spa. I came home, I felt 15 years old again, and shook off some of the fears. Like I said, I think I said before, I worry a lot about stuff, trying to not.
Yeah.
But then I get worried about how much I'm worrying.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, it really helped kind of be like, okay, this is why we all do this. There's this moment when you're 15 years old and, you find a guitar or somebody, or you read about Van Halen and in like the rock magazine, and something sparks and you're like, oh, I might be interested in this. And so to try to get some of that back is what that was about.
Yeah, I mean, you grew up kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Grocery store was an hour away, so you lived for a rock magazine just to give you that lifeline to the culture.
Yes. Yeah, there's literally nothing else to do but develop your interests or get into trouble.
It sure worked for us because we love your music. It's a great record, Undivided Heart and Soul. JD McPherson and the band in the studio. We'd love to hear another one if we could.
Don't pass my doorstep if you're hunting for sugar. Shelter to a weary traveler. Time is passing like the clouds above us, floating softly as a feather. Hunting for sugar. Come to my window if you crave adoration. Don't be a stranger to my open devotion. Painting precious words for one another, secrets whispered to you under covers. I know you've given us to all the others. Don't pass my doorstep if you're hunting for sugar.
JD McPherson and the band doing another track live here in the Bridge Studios from the new album that's out a week from tomorrow, Undivided Heart and Soul, now on New West. It's just a brilliant record. So you'd gone out and you'd sort of had a good weekend or whatever with Josh and, sort of, rattled the windows and all that. But then you came back into an environment that I'm not sure completely lines up with, because you recorded this in one of the legendary 60s recording studios in Nashville.
One of the last really classic studios in Nashville is RCA Studio B, which is, even if you're not familiar with that studio's name, the recordings there. I mean, it's where Chet Atkins was set up making giant country hits all through the 50s and 60s, plus on the rock and roll side, all the Everly Brothers early stuff was done there, all the early Roy Orbison stuff, the Post-Sun, Monument recording stuff was all there, Only the Lonely, Crying, all that stuff. All the Elvis Post-Army stuff was done there. Tons and tons and tons of music was made there, but it's not a commercial studio. We were sort of like at the end of our rope a little bit. We didn't, because you can't just get into a real big studio in Nashville without booking it a long time in advance. Because I don't know if you know this or not. There's a couple of bands in Nashville. Anyway, we were like, what can we do? And we were just talking amongst our friends, like, is there any way we can figure out how to do this? Can we rent a hotel room and set up in there? Can we do something crazy? And the idea to contact the Country Music Hall of Fame came up. And I don't know how it happened, man. Some magic pixie dust got sprinkled on the email or something because they said yes. Originally, they only said yes to 3 songs. But once we got in there, the studio crew were like, you just make your whole record here. We want to see something happening here other than tours.
So there were still tours going on, which means you had to get out every day.
Yeah, we set up every afternoon, recorded till very, very late in the morning, early in the morning, and then tore down every night, and then repeat over and over again. So it was like setting up for a gig every day. So usually, like when you're in a studio environment, you've been working on a record for a while. I mean, there's guitars leaning up everywhere. There's spaghetti cables all over the place. Everything was just super Spartan all the time because it had to be. Like, we started off with a whole bunch of amps and worked our way down to 1 amp. Like, this is the amp we're going to use. Everything was kind of down to the wire.
The thing that surprised me a little bit when I was really listening to the record, and it did take me by surprise. This is like a headphone record. There are like really cool little elements that really benefit from careful listening.
We did work really hard on the sonics.
And, there's little touches throughout and get to those. But I mean, you worked really hard on trying to find the drum sound that matched that studio too.
Well, we did. We had, on one song, there was a song on the record called Jubilee that it was like sort of the chance to try to get something that did sound like it came out of Studio B. And one of the engineers there, actually the guy that works on all the equipment there, the original stuff that's still there, he had a lot to say about what we could do to get this certain snare sound. And so, man, we worked on that for hours. But for the most part, most of the other songs, it was just kind of mic'd and work it out a little bit and then go. But Jason and I spoke beforehand. We'd been listening to a lot of like 60s British rock and roll and 60s kind of garage rock. And I was like, Jason, how does the Creation get this drum sound? He was like, plastic head. So that was a big part of why the drums sound the way they do.
The thing about a historic studio like that is that there's often remnants. Like if you go to Abbey Road, the upright piano that the Beatles played is still there in the corner. And, literally, they'd probably rather have a better piano in there, but they just you cannot.
You can't. No.
You can't move that out. So the studio that you were in had Floyd Kramer's piano.
Yep.
And the vibraphone that was used on the old Roy Orbison Crying.
Mm-hmm. And the echo chamber. Oh my God, I forgot this story, but there, while we were there, the studio crew was saying that Roy Orbison's family, there was some kind of, hope I don't get this wrong too badly, but there was some kind of thing going on with the Nashville Symphony where they were going to put Roy Orbison's original vocal tracks with, like, soloed with the symphony, and they were going to bring the tapes in one day and run it through the echo chamber, just his voice. And I'm like, I will do anything. Do not do that without letting me be there. I don't know. But that echo chamber was, that's a kind of a magic little element to that studio.
Did you listen to any of those songs in that studio for inspiration?
Every night. Well, every night we were loading out, there's an iPad set up for the tours where you hit a button and Charlie Pride plays. But they were really good speakers, you know, and we'd tear down and listen to, we listened to Crying, I don't know how many times, and Till I Kissed You by the Everly. I don't know, it's crazy.
You were looking for sort of a Link Ray sound in this one, too.
Well, I bought this guitar in Austin, Texas. We were on tour, and I found this white Supro dual tone, like a 61 dual tone, which is, if you're a Link Ray fan, you ever see that picture of him holding this white guitar? That's the guitar. And, you know, it sort of had this, like, siren's voice that was calling. And I don't really buy guitars on the road. I don't know. I just don't do that. I'm not Billy Gibbons or somebody that buys one every day, you know. But this thing, like, I had to have it. And these guys, actually, I didn't buy it the first day. And they were like, you know you're going to get that guitar. And I did. I went back the next day and got it. And plugged it in and played, like, Rumble on it, and it immediately was like, I want to do this for a minute, you know? So that guitar, it's as much that guitar's fault as anything else that the songs came out a little fuzzier.
You had some really great co-writers on this one, Parker Millsap, Butch Walker, Aaron Lee Taschan, who we play, and of course, we'll give top billing to your wife. How did that one work out?
Well, my wife, Mandy, I've always, everything I've ever sort of made, she's sort of like the last edit, you know, she's sort of always the last one that gets showed anything. And there were a couple of songs that I wrote, like On the Lips was one of the first songs I wrote when we were trying to make this record. And it's just weird enough that I was a little uncomfortable thinking that it might go on the record. And she's the one that was like, yeah, you need to sing. This is obviously something that you wrote about yourself. You need to write, you need to sing it. But I found this stash of lyrics that she had. She'd been keeping on her phone for like years. And I'm like, what are you keeping this from? You see your poor husband suffering, like trying to come up with ideas, and you've got this treasure trove of stuff. So the song While We're Young, the first couple lines are Mandy's, and the song's kind of about us back in the early days when we were just starting out.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Thanks.
The entire album is really spectacular. JD McPherson, Undivided Heart and Soul, out Friday, October 6th, playing tonight at Knuckleheads, and we'd love to get one more song in if we could.
Cool. We're going to do the first single called Lucky Penny, but in this sort of stripped down environment, we're going to do like the Nick Cave version.
Turned kings in diamonds to dust. I tried to beat the house, but every hand was a bust. Another day ends, another begins. Another night sleeping on needles and pins. I keep her rolling where the better wind blows. I keep her running, but to trouble follow. Ain't no telling where I'm gonna end up. This lucky penny's been nothing but bad luck. Bad luck. Bad luck. Bad luck. The old dreams are coming undone, fraying at the seams every mile that I run. Another bad move, another dead stop, another wrong turn on the way to the top. keeping has been nothing but bad luck. Bad luck. The white lines, it's a long road ahead and a long one behind. I keep a rolling where the bad wind blows. I keep a running but the trouble follows. Ain't no telling where I'm gonna end up. This lucky pin has been nothing but bad luck.
I was having fun over there.
Oh, cool.
That was really good. I like that a lot. Lucky Penny, JD McPherson and the band. Rave reviews for the album Undivided Heart and Soul out Friday, October 6th. Also rave reviews for the shipping container Belgian steakhouse that plays Hank Sr. called Weirwar in the Box Yard. Go to Tulsa, get a good meal. Got a good new CD for the road trip down there.
Man, you got it all figured out. Thank you so much. That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, we try to do right by the people we like, right?
Right on, man.
JD McPherson, you can find out more at jdmcpherson.com. And, of course, don't forget the show tonight at Knuckleheads. I know this is the first day of your tour, and you guys are just as busy as you can be. And it's a sacrifice to come in and give your time to us like this. And we really appreciate you sharing.
No sacrifice. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the new record, JD McPherson and band live in the Bridge.
909 in Studio is brought to you by 90.9 The Bridge in Kansas City. To find out how you can become a sustaining member or to donate, go to bridge909.org.